Now, if you're just coming out of your undergraduate studies, one of the last things you're probably going to want to do is go out and buy a bunch of books to put in your library. But it's important for you to know that if you're going to be an educator, that you're going to have to improve your craft over a long period of time. Educators truly are lifelong learners. Even principals keep a very extensive library of the latest research so we can lead our schools appropriately. And we would expect our teachers to have good libraries so that they can lead their classrooms appropriately. So even as a new teacher, you're always going to be improving each and every day as you're around veteran teachers and as you encounter things day to day that you didn't expect to encounter that you'll know how to handle next time. Being a teacher is a lot like learning. You're going to be learning each and every day that you're in that classroom. But I do want to recommend 4 books for you that you should go out and buy and be looking through as you begin your teaching career. The first one you're probably already familiar with. It's Harry Wong's The First Days of School. Now what Harry Wong was able to do is put into a book all of those little everyday, day-to-day sorts of things that you will find in a classroom that you probably don't think about and we often take for granted. But because transitions are so important in our classroom structure, things like passing out papers and turning in papers or sharpening our pencils are things that we don't normally think of or we should be thinking of, and how are we going to teach our students to do that the way we want them to? And at the same time, how do we prevent bad things from happening if we have a good procedure in place for it? So Harry Wong gives you some tips and techniques for doing that. Another book I would recommend is Dr. Ruby Payne's Working with Students. This is discipline strategies that she's developed for working with our most difficult students. Now when I say difficult, what I'm really talking about is our low socioeconomic students. It's students that come from difficult households, the ones that come from poverty. Dr. Ruby Payne's research has been revolving around students in poverty. If you just simply Google Dr. Ruby Payne, you will find a lot of her resources are related to students in poverty. Now if you're going to be working in a low socioeconomic school or a Title I school, this is going to be a very helpful book for you because working with Title I students is a unique experience. They are awesome kids but come from some very difficult circumstances that often teachers who come from suburban households or upper level incomes don't quite understand. Ruby Payne gives us an opportunity to understand that a lot better. So, Working with Students by Dr. Ruby Payne. Another book I would recommend that is not an education book per se is called Brain Rules. It's by John Medina. He is a brain researcher who has come up with a series of rules that he calls in the book to help us understand how our brain works. And basically, from an educator's perspective, the brain is important. So because the brain is so important, it's important for us to understand that the brain needs certain things: exercise, survival, food. We have long-term memory and short-term memory. We need sleep, and stress is an issue as well. So what Medina has done is broken down some of these brain rules into a very easy to understand format because we're not brain surgeons, and has also developed a go-along DVD that's a very humorous explanation of each of the rules. So John Medina's Brain Rules I think is a very important book, not just for teachers but for an entire staff of schools to understand. Very good book. The last book is The Art and Science of Teaching by Dr. Robert Marzano. Now, you'll be hearing Marzano's name for a long time. He's becoming one of our leading educational researchers. And what he was able to do with The Art and Science of Teaching is over a few years of meta-analysis research. What he did is he took a multitude of studies over time and picked out the top instructional strategies that teachers should be using in their classrooms each and every day. And we call these the Marzano 9. And these 9 instructional strategies, they're not the only strategies, but they're the best strategies. Strategies like similarities and differences, graphic organizers, critical writing, those kind of instructional strategies that you should be building into your lessons each and every day. As a campus principal, these are the things I'm looking for my teachers to be doing when I do walkthroughs. If you're standing in front of your students lecturing, that's not a top instructional strategy. We would be having a conversation. So, The Art and Science of Teaching, it's a very good book. I wouldn't say it's the funnest of reads, the most fun of reads, but for sure, it's a book that you need to be looking at to understand the top instructional strategies. John Medina's Brain Rules, Dr. Payne, Working with Students, Harry Wong, First Days of Schools. Go out there and buy them.